This is the 6th episode of the Sick Boy Trades podcast, and I want to give a warm welcome to a longtime friend of mine and amazing trader, amazing entrepreneur, just well respected in all aspects of the game. My brother, Jay the Trader. Give yourself a little intro, and then we'll go from there, my brother.
What's going on, guys? My name is Julian. I go by Jay the Trader. I'm pretty much known for trading the SPY and the S&P 500. Been trading for the past 6 years, and yeah.
Hell yeah. And me and Jay go really far back, to be honest, because me as a beginner trader, you were one of the first people that I came across just on the internet, just scrolling through Twitter, IG, and I wanted to start with a story about how when we were driving and I was just on the freeway and just happened to see you, and that's kind of how we became friends. And I just feel like it's a story that I just want to tell and start the podcast off with. It's just like an ironic story. It's just how sometimes when you can just meet somebody out of the blue, it can just start a relationship and become friends with somebody through the internet. And we both have Teslas, so we were just both on the road and just happened to run into each other. And I took a video, and you took a video because your license plate has the I Love SPY on it. So I just thought that was so dope. And ever since then, we kind of stayed in contact. You watched me kind of grow through my journey. I watched you continue to just level up as a trader, as an entrepreneur, just in all aspects. And then we just kind of continued to cross paths and always see you at the charging stations, and we would chop it up. And you really gave me a lot of game as a youngin coming in and learning. And I really wanted to say thank you for that. And I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you.
With that being said, I really want to just get into your journey, how you got here, the beginning, the young Jay, the high school Jay, just how you developed into a person. I know we were talking a little bit about it off camera, but just really want to get to know you and what habits at a young age developed you into becoming the successful trader, entrepreneur that you are. So we'll talk a little bit about life, trading, and just get into all of it. So let's start with the beginning. Tell me a little bit about yourself as a kid, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, well, as a kid growing up, I had both of my parents in the home up into an extent, but I didn't let that sway me or affect my adulting. I grew up in a very traditional home, a very strict home, very strict parents. So I would say that type of home training taught me to be very disciplined. It taught me to not give up, don't have excuses, and to just keep working and have that work ethic. Going forward, again, my childhood wasn't rough, but going forward, I didn't pretty much follow the cookie cutter path that my parents wanted me to go. My siblings all went to top schools. They took the educational route, but I didn't necessarily take the educational route. My middle school days wasn't doing too well in middle school. High school didn't do too well. I had like a 1.2, 1.9 GPA. Barely graduated, but one thing that stuck with me from high school, I would say, was I wonder what's up with this stock market, like this whole trading stuff.
So at a young age, you were always interested.
Yeah, at a young age, I loved money. At a young age, I loved the thought of making money, because we didn't really have money growing up until a certain point. Once my mom started, getting better jobs and whatnot, better careers and everything. But yeah, we didn't really have money growing up, so I really loved the thought and art of making money and everything. So that was one of my strides,
Yeah, like a young age.
Yeah.
So you started basically finding a passion for money. So I want to break that down. Why weren't you a good student? What was it for you? You just didn't like school? What was going on? And when you weren't a good student, was that middle school or was it high school?
So it was middle school, high school, and even college. But I would say what I took away, what I noticed, was I was easily distracted. So I didn't really have good long enough attention spans to certain things. But I would always get the classwork done and everything when we had classwork that was due and whatnot, when we had projects that was due. But when it came to the homework aspect of things, I would, find myself, this is from high school going into college, I would find myself, trying to do research about the stock market, trying to learn about, how to make money in the market, how the market works and this and that. So that time with me focusing it there would take away from me completing the homework. And so once that would be due, which was a big part of your grades and everything, I wouldn't get it done in time, and I would procrastinate on that. So that would affect my grades, affect my my performance in school and all that. So I would say it was just getting the homework done and getting that done. I would just have my time focused researching stock, on other things.
But since middle school, you were already researching about the stock market, or was that?
Well, I mean, from middle school, I was just fucking around. At that time, I was
having
I
fun.
was having fun around the crazy group of friends. I was ditching school and everything like that. Like towards the last periods to go over to friends' house and everything. I was just living that crazy teenage lifestyle, in a sense, that preteen lifestyle. I didn't really like the teachers that I had in the middle school. Same with high school. I didn't really fuck with people there like that. Like I used to get bullied and everything in school. So yeah, I just didn't really have a strive for learning much at school. Yeah. That was in the middle school time.
Yeah, I relate to that a lot because I feel like me personally, I was kind of in that same situation. So like break it down for me in terms of with you being in school. And like your parents, like with them being so strict, were they kind of like, Jay, like you need to focus on school, or were they kind of like, okay, like we see you learning about the stock market, like we're okay with you like focusing on other things, as long as we know that you're focused on it,
So what I was doing, trying to research about the stock market, it was pretty much looked at as taboo in my family. Because again, like I said, they were very strict. They were very education focused.
Yeah.
You go to a 4-year, you get a good career, and then you can live the American dream. You can live a good life because you getting a career will provide stability. They'll at least know that we're all stable. So the stock market was very taboo in my family. Whenever I would be on a computer, looking at charts and everything, and my mom would come downstairs or something like that, like I would quickly switch the tab just so she won't see it, because like she'll get upset, like why aren't you, learning about studying or something like that.
They think it's gambling.
Yeah, they literally thought it was gambling. So it was very looked down upon, because again, my brother went to a 4-year, did computer engineering. My sister graduated Berkeley Law, so they were looked at as role models in the sense. It's like we have to follow their footsteps. So the fact that I didn't follow their footsteps, I barely made it out of high school to a community college, didn't even finish that community college. They were very upset with me. I was going against the grain.
Yeah, but that's usually the person that does that ends up seeing some type of success. So
if they put the
work in. So with you, when did the infatuation with the stock market start? Was it your freshman year, sophomore year? When did you really start? Like not only learning about it, but then actually starting to like trade. Because it seems like was trading your first, like a lot of the people that I talk to, on other episodes, it's like they started with drop shipping, or they started with selling sneakers, or they started selling Supreme. I started selling Supreme, and then went into drop shipping, and we all kind of have our upbringing before trading. But was trading like your first thing, or did you have a job, or like what was going on with that?
So I had like 3 jobs before I dropped that and then went to trading full time. So my first job was Little Caesars. That was my high school job.
Okay.
So I worked at a pizza place, and then that was at that time I was getting into trading at that time. So
what year is this of high school?
Sophomore year.
I was gonna say probably sophomore. Because you gotta be 16 to have a job.
It was my sophomore year.
You know what Pavilions is? Have you ever been? You've been to Pavilions. It's like Albertsons.
Yeah.
It's like that's where I got my first job at when I was 16, because they wouldn't hire me before that, and then I kind of just went from there. But so you started at Little Caesars at 16.
Yeah.
And then that's like a pizza shop, right?
Yeah. It's like a pizza shop.
Yeah.
$5 pizzas or whatever, hot and ready. At the time, again, I wasn't seeing money like that, but I wanted to make money, so I looked at that job as like something big. So
I mean,
thought
that first job is always pretty big, because it's like you've never touched money.
And so the checks that I was making from there, I thought it was a good amount. I didn't have a lot of liabilities at the time.
Living at home.
Exactly.
Like, right.
So I was putting a good amount of what I was making in the market, trying to see what I can do with it. Yeah.
As a sophomore in high school?
Well, no.
Because I was gonna say.
No. That was later on. No, that was later on. But that was later on. Sorry about that. The checks I was making from that Little Caesars was money.
That was just when you were saving.
Over time.
You were only 16. You were 16.
Yeah, but that money was diminishing because I was only making about like $400 every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember those days.
I thought that was money. That's
just food
before
money.
Taxes, and then after that job, I want to say they were holding me around. They were messing with me. So
really?
I feel like, because like Over time, my checks would get lesser and lesser and lesser, and it was to a point where every 2 weeks I was only making like $280.
But you were working the same.
I was working the same amount of hours, and I would tell them, "Hey, I'm missing these hours," and they would say, "Okay, we'll get them fixed," but they never really fixed them. So that was that job. I ended up leaving that job for another job, and I think my Paxson job was when I was putting that money in the market, because at that time I think you have to be like 18.
Yeah, 18. I was gonna say, unless you have the custodial account, but your parents didn't.
No.
They didn't trust you to trade.
Yeah, so that's when I found out about Robinhood.
So the trading journey really started at 18, but the educational journey started at like 15, 16.
16, 17, I want to say, because
which is honestly a blessing though, because that gave you 2 years of like educational time, opposed to when most traders just start learning, they start learning and then they just start trading while they're learning.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I did. So while I didn't do the right amount of education
in the beginning,
that 2 year time, because
you're still young, you're in high school.
When I got into it, I was like, okay, I see everybody with McDonald's, I see Lamborghini, I see Ferrari. I wonder if they have a stock, and if they have a stock, if I ever make a lot of money, like I would invest in their stock, because like I see people driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris, I would assume these companies make a fuck ton of money. It was just it seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That was when
I like Tesla.
Yeah.
Tesla.
So I wasn't doing the research, trying to figure out what the stock market was, why I was saying that, but I said, once I turn 18, I'm gonna get into the market. Like I'm gonna see if I could trade. So that's when I opened up a Robinhood. I was trading stock at the time, so I wasn't in options.
Shares.
Yeah. So I wasn't making no money. Like it took me a while to make 50 cents. It took me a while to make $1, but I was losing a lot of money. So all the checks that I was throwing into the market, I was losing it.
And you were working at Paxson?
Yeah.
And this is after high school or still senior year of high school?
Around senior year of high school, going into
freshman year of college.
Yeah. And that job was funny because they hired me as an employee, but it was the same thing. Like the checks, the money just kept going down.
It was diminishing.
It was diminishing. But what I was not that, but like.
Oh, they were paying you correctly as well?
Yeah, what I found out about that one was they claimed that they didn't hire me as a standard employee, that they hired me as seasonal. So
they fired you?
Yeah, so they let me go, whatever. But what was weird was I was like, okay, they let me go, but I was getting texts from the manager there and the supervisor there. They're like, we're trying to do everything we can to hire you back. I don't know why they fired you or whatever. Like, you're a very good worker here. We're trying to hire you back, but they never did anything like that. So then I went to my third and final job, which was a car wash. And that was depressing, very depressing. But one thing I would say one thing that I walked away from all these jobs was like discipline.
Yeah.
And just I never wanted to give up or quit. Even when the money was diminishing, I still was working there because like it was still money coming in. So I always had that mindset of wanting to
make that push.
Yeah, that push.
I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
That's interesting, and that's really something that obviously not many people probably knew about your story, that you've had, over 3 jobs. I only had technically 2, but with those 3, it seemed like it was just a lot of trial and error, and obviously it seems like they weren't really like treating you right at the end of the day as well. They just weren't giving you the hours you wanted and just giving you the right respect. So with that being said, how long did you stay at that car wash until you were like, okay, I'm gonna just take the money from this and trade and just give it my all, and basically just like take that leap of faith? Because that's where a lot of people are at, where they have that job, but they don't know if they're ready to take that full leap of faith and just give it their all.
I think I was about a year and a half into the car wash job.
Wow, you worked there for that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
That's not short. That's a pretty decent amount of time.
Yeah, because all my other jobs, I didn't hold it for no more than a couple of months, So, yeah, it was like a year and a half. And again, I was just going through so much with them. Again, missing hours, all that stuff. But my tipping point was every day that I would have to clock in, I would just sit outside and just be like, damn, do I really want to go in? Like, I would think about it.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I was like, damn, like, I'm really getting that feeling where, like, I just don't even want to go into work. Like, I just want to drive home. So I was like, okay, I need to, like, make something happen in a sense. So I was still trading at the time. Around that period of time, I was becoming more consistent.
And just like a year and a half of trading, right?
So I was becoming a little bit more consistent. I was still losing money, but becoming more consistent, and I was like, okay.
Options or still shares?
I was getting into options at this time. I was still doing shares, but then getting into options as well. And then I said, you know what? I think I made like my first $1,000 like in a month or something. I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna quit my job and do this full time.
After your first $1,000 a month.
Yeah, and that was like the biggest risk that I ever took, because like I didn't really have a lot of money in my bank account at that time. Like, bro, like at that time, to see a comma in my bank account was a rare occurrence, because like I wasn't getting paid that much, and then all the money that I was making, a good amount of it was going in the market, and then the rest I was obviously needing for upkeep, food and whatnot. So yeah, it was a risk. I quit that and then did trading full time. But at that point, I was like, okay, I need to like lock in and be serious. I need a strategy. I need to like actually take this serious, because this is like my only income stream now. So from there, I think like it was almost me hitting my rock bottom. Before this podcast started, I told you, like, once you hit those rock bottoms, it's almost like
you can only go
it almost propels you to like push up even harder. So it made me go hard in trading, and then that's when I found more consistency and more success.
Did you not have like some type of like anxiety and like kind of like just like these thoughts in your head that like, okay, now I have to make money from trading? Did that not kind of affect your trading emotionally? Or because like for me, I feel like when there's all that pressure on it, it makes it a lot harder. Obviously, like, yeah, diamonds are made under pressure, and like that pressure is good, but to an extent, as especially a young, trader, a few years back, like these are like your first years of trading. And you just saw your first $1,000 a month, and now you're gonna go all in. Did you have any pressure, or did you kind of like, you didn't even think like that? There was no pressure. You're like, I'm ready to go, or was there like a little bit of a slight in your head thinking like, maybe this is?
It was a lot of pressure. Doubt, like, could I even do this?
Yeah. Especially from your parents.
Yeah, the taboo aspect of it. Like, my parents don't even want me to do it. So the fact that if they found that I quit my job and now I'm trying to do this full time, like that's gonna be crazy. And at the time, I was still going to college, so I wasn't even doing good in college.
Community, right?
And then that pressure of like, I need to make money, like I don't have any other income coming in. Yeah, it was very stressful, but I felt like that motivated me and gave me, because I like a challenge, so that challenged me to say, okay, can you do it? Like, can you actually do it if you put your mind to it? Because like, one thing that I tell people, and I use this method a lot, is the brain can learn anything that you teach it to do, so long as you keep repeating that task. And the example that I give is the way we learn to tie our shoes. We kept trying to, loop the shoelaces every time until we officially learned it. The same way we had to walk, we tried to take those steps until our brain clicked it, and then we started walking. The same way we had to talk, the same way we write. We scribbled until our brain clicked, and then we started writing out, fluent words. So I use that same thought process in the market. Like, okay, if I see the same patterns, the same charts, if I try and learn, look at these terms and try and apply it, over time it should click. And over time it eventually did click. So that's how I pretty much try to attack it.
Kind of like a muscle memory, right? Like a basketball player.
Because the market is a repeating pattern. You see patterns play out all the time, and it's gotten to a point to where like you can see these patterns play out. What you're making out. Exactly.
And you started to just pick up on these. On these things. So when during this whole time, you were still staying at home, so you didn't have to pay rent, right? So you were like chilling on that side, which is like a lot of people, like when you got a rent overhead, that's really difficult. Like that's one thing that can really put a lot of stress under your trading and make it a lot more just stressful. So I feel like, as a trader, my advice would be like, try to just stay at home as long as possible. Take advantage of that. You know what I mean? Like, don't just try to leave and like do all that. And I left at a young age. I left at 18. And I've been out for like 3 years now. Honestly, it was the best decision for me, but that's not for everyone. And at the end of the day, like if you can save that $1,000, $2,000 a month and then invest that into yourself, invest into your trading account, education, that will probably go a lot farther. So I feel like you're blessed that you had that ability, and shout out to your parents. And I'm surprised though, because you were going against the grain and you were trading. But let me finish though. Was it because you were still in school? Is that why they kind of?
No, it's just they're very traditional. So I'm Nigerian, so they don't believe in a whole once you turn 18 you're out the house.
Really?
Yeah. So
my parents said when you're 18, unless you're in college, you gotta go. So that's kind of what it was with me.
So with mine, they're like once they believe that once you're stable, you can go. But like if you want to stay, by all means stay, but they
It's very,
expect you
like,
to
nurture. They want to nurture.
Yeah, they
you.
expect you to have that integrity to like do something with yourself and then you know give
That's
it out.
rare, dude. Not a lot of traditions are like that. A lot of traditions are like, you know, especially ones that are very school oriented. They're like, if you're not in school or you're not going to college, I don't want anything to deal with you. Like, you're a failure.
Yeah, we're very family oriented. So
that's amazing. That's good.
So, but the crazy part is, I wanted to move out. I tried to move out so many times.
They wouldn't let you?
And they wouldn't let me.
Really?
So, yeah, they wouldn't let me. And that's actually one of the reasons why I got my Tesla. Because I tried to move out before I had that car. And my mom was like, nah, I don't want you to do it. I don't want you to do it. Like, why would you pay rent? I'd rather you buy a home than pay rent. And I was like, nah, but like, I'm making this money. Like, I want to move out finally and pay rent. Like, I'm tired of living at home. Like, you know, like, it's annoying, this and that. And she wouldn't let me, so I said, you know what, I'm going to go buy a Tesla. Because she thought I wasn't responsible, you know, for managing that amount of money and everything like that. So I was like, I'm going to buy this car to show you that I can be responsible to, you know, move out and everything. And I went to go get the Tesla, and then, like, fast forward to now, like, I still have the car and everything. So she sees that I'm very responsible with it. But, like, fast forwarding to now, I now see her reason is to, like, don't rent, don't pay somebody else.
No, she's so right.
Get a home. Like, now I'm saving up to, you know, get a home. Like, I'd rather get a home than pay rent.
Yeah, because I'm looking back at me personally. I've been paying about $2,000 of rent for the past 3 years. What does that equal out to about a year? It's like $24,000 a year, right? That's 3 years. That's almost $60,000. That's a rental property, you know. And yes, I learned a lot. I had a lot of growth during that time, and that's why I'm only 21, but I feel like I'm like 24, 25 because I have a lot of like wisdom that I've you know, developed from being on my own and doing that whole thing. But 100%, you're right, bro. Like, she was looking in the long-term future of like, okay, if he saves this money now, and if he is on the correct, you know, path, he can just, when he's 24, 25, have multiple rental properties from that money saved. And she was looking at the long-term vision.
And she was right, because like when I first touched like my first 6 figures, bro, I blew it. Yeah. Like, bro, I bought so much stuff, like things that I always wanted. Like, all the shoes before they drop, I had them. So like, I wanted to do that flex for like, oh, those Jordans, I got them. All the Air Jordans, all the Off-Whites, I had every single one. I had all the pairs. Just because like I had the income to do it, and those are all the things that I always wanted, you know. So it was just like, she was smart in the sense where like, if I moved out and I was living that type of lifestyle where I was just buying everything, like, yeah, I would have been right back in, you know, trying to save. So like, she was smart as far as like me staying home and, you know, saving up that income to do something. Because like, now, fast forward to now, I don't have the need to, you know, live that type of lifestyle. Because I've already done it, and it's like, now it's like, okay, I'd rather save my money now and try and like get into, again, the real estate game to have smart, consistent cash flow coming in.
And you know what's so funny is like, every trader, every entrepreneur that I've talked to says the exact same thing. They're on the exact same wavelength. They're saying the exact same things where, I'm not gonna, you know, waste this money. I'd rather invest it into, you know, assets. And they all have gone through that thing where they buy the stupid things. We both have Rolexes.
Yeah,
you know, like, you want to go through them, but you need to like go through that of buying it, realizing it doesn't fulfill you, and be like, okay, like, I went through this and I did it, and now it's time to move on, and that's okay.
Exactly.
You know, and I feel like I said, every single entrepreneur that I've talked to, they've gone through their phase. And if you're going through that phase right now, where you're just like, you're finally seeing some type of success, just understand that the materialistic and all those things aren't really valuable at the end of the day. It's like, really just how long you can actually sustain and stay in the game. And,
if you don't have a purpose for the materialistic thing that you buy, if you don't have like something to gain,
a story, something behind it,
like, then it's just not worth it. Because like I told you, I was gonna buy the Lambo, but when I thought about it, I was like, okay, I bought the Tesla because like, one, I wanted to be responsible as far as like showing it to my mom, but two is like, I wanted to, all my friends are buying cars, I wanted to buy a car too, to feel, you know, the emotions and the feeling then was very euphoric, but over time I was like, okay, it is what it is. I bought the watch. The emotions when I was buying it and everything, it was very exciting, very euphoric, but then over time I was like, okay, like, I'm over it. So like, when I was gonna make that purchase for the Lambo, like, again, even the emotions, just test driving, getting everything there, it was there. But then I just thought about it. I was like, it's gonna be the same thing. Like, I'm just gonna have the car over time, and it's just like, okay, I have the car. I'd rather again, I'd rather go into that real estate game where I know that this cash flow is always going to be there, so that I can have that euphoric feeling every single month. I can be secure every single month. If I lose everything, I know that, okay, I can still have something to fall back on that I know will produce me, some income if I play it right. So, yeah, like, it's the materialistic things is just, it doesn't excite me as much anymore.
As it used to.
Yeah.
And I think I'm honestly at that same point where, like, I went through that, bought the Tesla, bought the BMW, bought the Rolex, and I'm at the point where, like, if whatever the purchase is, it's not bringing in something back, right? If there's no ROI on my investment, why am I investing?
Exactly.
Right? Like, and like, yes, the clothes, the shoes, like, you could say you're gonna, like, it's an ROI, but is it really though? You just wear it. These Balenciagas, bro, $1,500. I only wear them once a month, And like, yeah, they're cool shoes and whatever, but
you can do the whole tax write-off thing for like personal look and all that. But like the ROI on like a property is like,
yes, it's like you not only a but anything,
like other
even
like,
yourself, even into whatever it is, right? Content, creating whatever vision it is that you see for yourself, just investing into that, right? Whether it's a production, cameras, whatever you got to invest in, it's like invest into that. Don't invest into the shoes, like all that. A Rolex is different, I guess, because it at least holds a little bit of value. Sometimes we like our watches.
Yeah.
The cars, I think that's not a horrible.
Certain cars
We'll talk about that a little bit. Because like, what's really funny is when I saw you and you told me about the Urus when we were at the charging station like 2 months ago, and you told me like I'm thinking about getting the Urus, and you told me it was like $70,000 down, and I was like, okay, like that's a decent amount of money down, and I told you I was like, we could probably put that same amount of money into real estate, and instead of spending the $2,000 on your monthly payment, you'd be getting that monthly payment because you're renting it out, right? So it's like when you start thinking like that, you start realizing, okay, what I'll do is I'll buy the rental property, and then that monthly payment I get for the rental property, I'll just buy the Urus with that money, or just rinse and repeat until I have 10 of those properties buying me 10 Lambos, and you also realize like I don't even need the Lambo.
And just not only that, it's like all my wealthy friends that I'm around, like they all have property, bro. Like they all have property.
Yeah, and not only that, they probably all went and bought the Lambo, they all went and bought the Ferrari, and they realize it's nothing. It's not worth it. It was fun for a little bit, but you might as well just gone and rented one, right? It's like it's nice to say you own it, right? But at such a young age, it's like the liability. I mean, like if you got it like that, go do your thing. You know what I mean? Like buy the Lambo, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, right? We'll probably have them eventually, but it's like just make the smarter decisions first before the dumb ones, right? And a lot of people want to. We know this because we've done them. We've made the dumb financial decisions before making the smart ones. And I know, like you told me, like when you spent the money on the Rolex, you're like, I probably could have bought a property with this, and that's probably a decision that could have been made, but you decided to go that path, and it led you here, and it's all decisions. But I mean, it's all relative to whatever you want in the current state. But I guess it's funny because it all ties back into how this whole game is all connected, right? Trading, entrepreneurship, real estate. All of these things are interconnected and interlooped, and people think just because you're a trader means that that's like all you do, but it's like, no, I also am an entrepreneur at the end of the day.
Like a lot of my buddies, like they tell me like they don't want to trade for the rest of their life, like that's why they venture off into all these other stuff. But I mean, for me, I don't mind trading for the rest of my life. Like I can do this for forever. I tell myself like once I have kids, like I know it's crazy, but like once they can comprehend a sentence, like I'm gonna teach them about financial literacy, about the market, about investing, dividends, all that, because like that's something that I lacked growing up, and that's something that I wish I was taught about. So like I feel like if they at least know about it, they don't have to trade per se, but they can at least know that okay, with the money I'm making, with whatever career they decide to venture in, I know about investing, so I can now put it towards these investments. I can put it towards real estate, this and that. So yeah, I mean me, I want to trade for the rest of my life, but still use that money and funnel it to more secure income. And I say secure income because you and I both know like trading, it's a gamble in the sense where like your income is varied. And so your income varies on how the market performs. Yeah. So like if the market is sluggish and the market is shit, you're really not gonna make that much if it's hard for you to trade.
Which we've been seeing as of late. Like we were talking, it's like the market hasn't been giving us the types of moves that. I mean, it's not like it's giving horrible moves like intraday. There's moves, and I mean, obviously we're surviving, obviously. But it's not what it used to be. And my question I want to talk about is like, when do you think we're going to get that fire in the market that we once had back in 2020?
It's funny you say that 2020 year because
Bro.
2018, 2019, I would have made so much because it was just a bull market. It was a bull run, bro.
Yeah.
Every dip was bought up. So it's
Yeah.
like, when I think the fire will come back, I don't like to make predictions on that, but like, I mean, based off of how our data is looking and everything, like maybe 2025, 2026.
So you think it's gonna take some time?
Yeah, because people underestimate recessions. Like they underestimate.
I'm underestimating it myself.
Bro, recessions they can really go for a while because like you have to understand like you're trying to get a whole economy to shift the ball in a sense to get recession or to get inflation down. It's not like one business where if you have a team of people that are helping that business, they can easily shift make that business go up.
Yeah.
You're requiring the whole economy to act good in order to get inflation down. So it's like, if we keep sending money out, like we keep printing money, we keep doing stimuluses, all that, like there's a debt ceiling that we're about to encounter, and I think the Fed might have to print money in order to counter that debt ceiling.
Yeah.
That is going to take an effect, I believe, on inflation. So it's like, as the more we keep doing that and the more bad data that comes out as far as like that's showing that our economy is still resilient, the job market is still, not dropping, it's still there. Unemployment is not falling how we need it to fall. Recessions can last for 2 to 3 years.
And we've already been in one for like the past year and a half.
Yeah. Technically, like I said, we have been in a recession. Now our recent GDP print was positive, so we are out of a recession technically. But we were in a recession technically because we have printed 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP.
Yeah.
So, but the Fed didn't want to say it, Biden didn't want to say it, obviously, because they didn't want to cause panic in the market. But technically, yes, we were in a recession. We're just, I would say, in a bear market right now. Like this is the longest I've actually seen a bear market happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty scary because I want to say there's been a big shift in the class. Like I don't want to say there's no more. There's still a middle class, but it's getting wiped out in a sense. Like there's now the rich, like you have it, and then there's you don't have it, like the poor.
Yeah, you don't have it as much.
Yeah, so if this
You're
recession
surviving.
happens,
You're
yeah,
surviving.
and if this recession happens, like
It's gonna get
the
bad.
middle class is gonna get hit like even worse. Like so. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like we could probably get this thing back 2025, 26.
And like what I'm thinking is like, I mean, you've seen like SPY had its downtrend from 40 back to like below 400, and like now we've kind of gone to this point where like, are we bottoming out? Are we trying to go back up to 500? And I'm myself like confused. I know we have analysts in the chat that talk about it all the time. It's like, are we kind of trying to find a bottom right now, or is this just setting up for? I mean, I know you've seen the charts, bro. The 2008 chart and then the 2023 chart. They say they look identical. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think we're setting up for that next drop, or do you honestly think it's kind of bottoming out?
It's almost cringe whenever I see that chart get posted around because like one thing people fail to realize is the Fed changes their game plan to adjust to whatever current economic situation is at hand. So when the .com bubble happened, they had to switch their whole game plan, so that wouldn't happen again. When the '08 crisis happened, they had to switch their whole game plan, so that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
So you've seen the real estate market prices are stupid high, right? Like they're dumb high. People are obviously expecting to crash, but while we had our recession, while we had COVID, the Fed, as you can see, stepped in and saved the market. So they have a game plan to counter a '08 crisis again. So while people are comparing the charts to that, technically, yes, you can have that happen, but you have to have what occurred in '08 to happen again to see that type of stuff happen again. And the Fed has changed their game plan to where they are trying to avoid that.
Yeah, it's like saying that the Fed hasn't learned anything in the past 10 years.
So when COVID happened, bro, they had to change their game plan to adjust to COVID.
They've learned, and it's like, you don't think that the Fed like looked at the 2008 chart, that you haven't seen that, okay, everybody thinks that this is going to happen. We got to change the game plan.
Yeah, they've seen what happened
and the way the complex words, just all of it is very difficult. And it's one thing I'm still working on to this day, and that's why I feel like I may go back eventually to college and take an economics class, just so I can like really learn it and understand it, to the next level,
I'll say it depends on what you want to take though, because like
I guess it's all on the internet now.
If you want to learn the market, I would say if you want to go back to college and take a class, I would say go the math route, do pre-cal.
Really?
take calculus, pre-cal, and take calculus. You want to take all of that because calculus, geometry too. I think that'll help you because the market is just numbers, bro. The market is literally numbers. It's a numbers game. One of my strategies, and there's something where you probably heard called quantitative trading. So quantitative trading deals with numbers. These analysts literally do math. They have math equations formulas set out to basically predict the market and predict price, predict movements and everything. So like, I use quantitative trading to an extent in some of my strategies to where like I'll take a range and I'll do math where I'll add that range. And the minute you start adding numbers and then once you get a total and you start getting totals from the number that you're adding, subtracting everything, that gives you targets, like price targets and everything. That's called quantitative trading. You're pretty much getting targets based on
previous targets.
You're getting targets based on using math.
Previous, like almost like Fibonacci levels.
Yeah,
right?
so like you'll get a high, low. You'll add that
Measure out,
total
yeah.
value, and then from that value you get a total. If you want to measure the high, you'll just add that value to the high of the range, and then you get your mathematical expected high if price were to break out of that range. And if to get the low of the stock, you just calculate the lower range. You subtract it from the value that you had got from subtracting those two ranges or adding those two ranges, and then once you subtract that value, value from the low of the range, you get your low of the day.
And a lot of things for me, I kind of intuitively like just understood it.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be honest, I never really passed any of my math classes. Like I was never a good student in math, bro.
I hated every other subject but math and English.
I hated all types of school, bro. I sucked at it. And it's not because I sucked at it, it's because I just didn't care about it.
Yeah,
kind of like how you were talking about earlier. I don't know what it was that you were talking about, but you were just saying your heart wasn't in whatever it was. Like you just didn't love it
in school.
Yeah, like you just didn't. Yeah, like you just didn't really love what you were learning about. But when you love what you're learning about, and that's why I love just trading, entrepreneurship, because I love and I enjoy learning about it. And I enjoy doing these podcasts because I'm learning and I enjoy getting to get that game and that knowledge. But I just didn't enjoy the things I was learning in school, bro. I'm just like, what am I learning these mathematical equations for? But when you put it like that, where it's like, okay, this could be used for trading, I never even thought about it like that. So 100%, like I agree with that.
It took me having to learn all these things about trading once I was
out of school.
Yeah,
you don't realize these things when you're 16 years old in geometry class, and that's why the school system is so flawed, dude. Because you're 16 years old taking a geometry class, like you don't even understand what you're learning. And I mean, yes, very few kids do, but let's be real, a lot of us don't even fully develop
like that.
Yeah, we don't all develop at the same age. So like the school system really is flawed in that. That's like me personally, bro. At 16, I was worried about completely other different things than geometry. But like now in my life, I'm a lot more aware of how geometry could positively affect me.
If I were to go back to school now and take a math class now, I think I'll do like hella well.
Yeah, like because you care about it. You're
that too, and
passionate.
Trading disciplined me. Like it really disciplined me. It put me.
Yeah.
It made me
in all aspects.
So now, like, if I were to go back to school, like I would be a lot more disciplined in a sense, because like I'll be more motivated to do the work, get the work done, and everything.
And you would also be really aware about what classes you're taking, and not just taking some stupid class.
Like I would take the class that would help me towards trading.
Yeah, or entrepreneurship, or real estate. You know, like
at the time,
not just some stupid. You know,
I was thinking dumb subjects. I didn't even know what I was doing, bro. Like,
so your first, let's talk about that. Your first 2 years of college, like aside from trading, how was that like life wise? Like, were you like
it was shit.
You were just.
It was so shit, bro, to the point like it was days where like I would get to school, I'll drive to campus, I'll park, like I really want to go into class, and I'll just drive right back home.
Really?
But, I mean, there were certain subjects that I liked, but I mean, it's just
what classes were you even taking? Because usually it's the first 2 years are just like the basic.
Yeah, the A through G stuff. So
which is the worst 2 years too, from what I've heard.
A class that I wish I took advantage of was like a class that taught like a time management type of class.
That's cool, yeah.
I had a communications class which I really liked, so I passed that class surprisingly. But I took English, English 2 or something like that, or something like that. And then I took history, like some advanced.
I wish I paid more attention to history.
I didn't like it, bro, because it was like some English ass history, like it was some history that I was not.
They don't even teach it the right way too. They kind of give you some vanilla version.
And you know what's so funny? That history class. I wish I stayed connected with this guy. There was this guy that I met in that class. Like she was going around telling people, do that whole icebreaker shit. She was like, honestly, I'm here because I'm just so bored and I just made too much money. I just needed to keep myself busy. And so after the class, I was like, what do you do? And he said he's in the container business. Like he ships import export.
In college?
In college. Like, so he said he just came back to college just because he just had too much time on his hands. And he wanted to keep himself busy, but he just import export. He ships containers and everything. He makes a fuck ton of money doing that. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. But like now I get why he would do that, because like now looking
He
at
was
it
going
now,
back
like,
to get more knowledge.
yeah, looking at it now, like I have a lot of time on my hands now, so like I would probably go back and just
Just to learn.
just to learn some more stuff.
But that shows how humble you are, bro, because most people in your position, or our position in general, they're not humble enough to know that there's still so much to learn. I've talked about this on every single podcast. It's like, the more that you learn, the more you realize that like there is so much to learn, and how much, you know, there is in this game that you're going to continue to keep learning and evolving from. And like that's really humble that you know. That
Yeah,
you
because
see that.
I'm always student to the markets. Like
Student of the game.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm never gonna ever feel like I've made it, or like I've learned enough. You know? Like you can always learn something new every day, and I learn something new every day in the market and life. You know, so it's just like, yeah, it's an interesting journey.
Yeah, and you can't let the ego get it. Have you ever had times where you've like had to check yourself because your ego got a little?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because like me personally, like a lot of people can't relate to it because they haven't gotten to that point. But I mean, I guess you can't, because look, like ego could be as simple as just like becoming more popular, and like you just have that power now, right? Or like it doesn't even have to be money. And like all throughout my life, I've had these times where I just have to like check my ego. But I mean, for you, like
It'll be in the most awkward ways. Like I'll be on like group chats or something like that, where they're like talking like with their mics off and everything, or they're typing in chat. They're like, well, a lot of you guys gotta go clock in tomorrow anyways. You know, you guys ain't sure. You guys are all working 9 to 5 jobs, and like they're talking shit to me, but I'm just looking at them like, I mean, that doesn't apply to me. Like I don't have to do like I have the free time to do whatever I want. That's certain times where it's like an ego check in a sense. Another time where it's like I'm out in public and like people will have an attitude with me or something like that, or like they'll be a dick towards me, and it's just like I'm just like, you know, like
you want to say something.
You probably like I would use what the people in the chat said. Like you probably would have to like work for someone tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I don't. Like I work for myself. Like I do what I want. I live life on my own terms.
Yeah.
You probably don't. Like, but that's an ego check that I would have to check myself.
And like you like go like just take a step back. Like,
Yeah,
that's a little bit out of character.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like we were talking about this off camera, it's like when people hate, they've just got something going on in their own life,
And they're just projecting it.
Yeah, like I told you, it's like I got to the point where it's like when people say something to me, when they you know give me their opinion, whether it's positive or negative, usually negative, I'll say, you know what, it's okay. You got things are going on in your own life, and like yes, it's difficult, bro, to check that ego, especially when you're young, you're successful, you got a Rolex on your wrist, you're driving a nice car. Someone says something, someone checks you, they say something disrespectful, they
feel like you're on top of them.
Yeah, do you look like, you know, they look at you like, I mean, me, because I have tattoos, sometimes they give me like attitude, they're like, why is this kid young, tattoos, like, what's up with you? Like, you know what I mean? They kind of give some attitude, and like, I've always just kind of learned to just rub it off my shoulder, you know, and I've never really like, I mean, it gets to me at times, but like, I don't know. I think it does just come with like kind of just finding a little bit of like security within yourself.
Yeah, it comes
which is difficult. It takes time, and like, yeah, there's times where I'm still a little bit insecure.
I mean,
but like,
think about it though. Like,
difficult.
You're young and you have a lot. You're making a lot of money. Like, that's gonna almost get to your head. So it's kind of hard to have that, to discipline yourself, but on your own in a sense too. With like, you do have role models, but for me, I didn't really have people that made a lot of money like that. So I didn't have people that really told me like, hey, once you make a lot of this money, you can't act like a dick.
You can't roll the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have to move differently and all that. So like it's trial and error. So
you had nobody. You had really nobody like.
I mean, apart from my parents, that like my mom had.
What about like the online guys, the Discord guys? They weren't.
I never met them in real life.
So they were, because like when I talk to my guys, like we have calls or whatever, like especially on my live trading calls, I'm mindset talking as well, not just trading. I'm like, guys, like we need to make sure that all aspects of our lives are in check, because I bet you probably realize like once you got your mindset right, your trading probably evolved to the next level where like you said, that discipline, that time management, the gym. I know you went crazy in the gym as well. Were you going to the gym before you were trading, or is that some?
Oh yeah, I was in a pro trading.
Oh, so you were always a big gym guy. Okay, so good for you. So it wasn't something, did it amplify it in a way and kind of give you more discipline, or not really?
It helped take stress away from the markets. Especially
Facts.
if I had a red day in the market.
Yeah. Take it out on the gym instead of on yourself.
Because like,
I guess it is taking it out on yourself.
Because what I found is like, it'll one keep me busy, but I'll just be too tired to be upset.
Yeah.
I'll be too tired and hungry. So once I'm eating and then I'm.
But you know what issue with that though? I feel like what happened as well is like you would use the gym as a distraction instead of going back to the charts and like looking at what you could have done better. Sometimes I would find myself just like, I take a bad trade, I just immediately get away from the charts, which is fine. But then I wouldn't go back and try to like analyze and be like, okay, I could have probably done a few things differently, size down, actually followed my stop loss,
So
or whatever it was.
I'll go and even talk to my partners and my inner circles, and I'll tell them like if I had a red day and everything, I'll tell them like, yeah, I had a red day. This is what I did wrong. Like I recognize what I did wrong.
Yeah.
And what I could have done differently going forward, and then I go to the gym and just try and like feel off the steam.
So your inner group is kind of like that, like you said, like.
It's just my partners really, and the two dads that run the block.
And they're kind of like that group where you can kind of like go to and like bounce ideas, give each other, basically just like a mastermind, right? A little mastermind with it. And I have very similar.
Because they're all different type. They all have different trading styles.
Yeah, and they can give you tips and analysis, and that's why having a team in trading is so like truly like such an edge, because you can get different opinions, you can get other people's ideas, and you can see like, okay, it was very obvious usually when you take a bad trade what was the reasoning for it, right? And at the end of the day, sometimes you just need somebody else to tell you that, you know, because you don't see that, and sometimes your ego gets in the way. You don't want to admit that you're wrong. It's difficult, and trading is a game about being wrong, and it's a numbers game, right? Because as long as you can lose, less than you're, winning, right, or winning more than you're losing at the end of the day, you're gonna be good, right? And because people are so caught up in like the first month of trading, the first 2 months, but it's like, think about your next 1,000 trading days, right? I think Umar Ashraf talks about this all the time. It's like, think about your next 1,000 trading days, right? And a lot of professional gamblers, they all talk about this. Like, you gotta think about the bigger picture and how if you just consistently add these days up like a business, because some days in a business there's gonna be losses. There's gonna be days where you have to pay for ads, and those ads cost more than the amount of profit that's brought in. But there's gonna be days where you have more profit than loss, and those days have to just be, larger and more excessive than those losses. And people think that trading is not a business. It's literally just a business. I think that's when my mindset switched for trading too, from like get rich quick to business. And it's like, it's just another business that you're going to add to your whatever 9-to-5 job you have, whatever other it's like, if you're an entrepreneur, you're just adding trading as just another one of those sources of income for another $5,000 a month here, and then you got another $5,000 a month here. It's not supposed to be this initial $100,000 a month thing.
And that's what everybody thinks.
They think that.
And that's what I hate, because like that's what they get into trading with, that type of
mindset.
Yeah, like,
and I bet you we both did come into that mindset. Those first 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like, I wanna just make $50,000 on a $2,000 account in 5 days. Like, we see it online. It's unrealistic. It's unpractical, and it's not real.
It's literally luck.
It's just luck. Not even luck. It's just, even if you do it, it's like, what's the point of it? And we've both done it too.
Is it sustainable?
Is it sustainable? Is it worth? Do you feel like you've earned anything? Like, whatever comes easy goes quick. Okay.
Yeah.
So
the thing about me is like, I would rather make like a less amount of money, but know how I'm making it and why I'm making it, than make huge chunks of money and not know how I'm making it.
Just
or why
get
I'm
lucky. Just getting lucky.
Because that's, again, it's not sustainable, at least.
Yeah. And I've talked to multiple traders, and the beginning of our trading journey is getting lucky. You know what I mean? Having these things, and then having to lose everything that we got lucky with and start from scratch. And like, that is the one thing every single one of us profitable traders, professional traders in the game have, is we all had to go through those losses, feel the burn, and get through that all, come back to a realization that, okay, I'm going to build a strategy and come through this. So what I want to talk with you is, did you go through a big loss? Did you blow up an account, or were you always on the edge of just kind of slowly growing your thing? Because you've always been so good at that, of like that consistent slow growth, and I really picked that up from you. It's like, I would rather have 100 $100 days than, like you said, one big $1,000 day or one big $10,000 day and have no idea how I did it. But think about long term, right? How much more rewarding is that to you that you've just done 100 wins compared to just one win, right?
Yeah. So I believe in I use like a rinse and repeat method. But to speak on what you said, it was my biggest. I've blown up accounts before. There's a stock that I just will refuse to touch. It's called Roku. So I make this stuff with like Roku will make me go broku. So I'm never like I've lost so much money on.
I've traded Roku before.
I've lost so much money on Roku. Like there's one point I lost like around like it was like $7,000 in like 10 minutes on Roku. Like wow, on the position, and I couldn't even process it at first because it was money I had saved up. And it was just so much. So that yeah, it was disgusting. But what I realized and what helped me keep my head above waters and stay in the game for so long was the rinse and repeat method. Like I believe, okay, what am I trying to do this for? Am I trying to have a big account to flex to everybody and show them that hey, I have a big 5-figure, 6-figure account, or am I really just trying to make money off this and make this an income for me? So it was the latter. I'm trying to make this an income for me. So my rinse and repeat method was okay. Let me start with a certain account size. For every $500 to $1,000 I make on that account, I'm gonna pull that out to my bank account, and I'm gonna realize that, and I'm gonna do that to a point where my bank account is at a certain amount. And once my bank account is at a certain number that I'm comfortable with, then I'll try and grow my account an extra $1,000 or $2,000. And then once I do that, then I'll do the method again. For every $500 to $1,000 I make on that new balance, I will pull that out into my bank account until my bank account is now at a number that I comfortably like again. And I did that for many reasons. One, so I can actually realize my gains. Two, so I can have a cushion in case I did blow up an account. I'll be okay, I can easily just bounce back.
Go until one day.
And three, it taught me the discipline as far as like realizing those gains and seeing the money come into your account to know that yes, like this is possible, you can do it. Because it's one thing to again profit and have the money in your trading account, but once you pay yourself out, it motivates you a lot more to continue doing it.
I'm so glad that you said that because like that was a big thing for me that helped me turn and give me that final click in my mindset in trading was you need to stop having this mindset of trying to grow a portfolio, which I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying you just need to focus on growing in a bank account, like whatever. You just want to focus on growth,
yes. Right?
What happens when for me, I don't know if this is what happened with you, is whenever I would have this mindset of okay, I'm going to take this $2,000 account to $20,000 account. You'd get the $2,000 to $3,000 and then $4,000, right? But then you would go all in on one trade and then you would lose it all, right? But if you were to have just taken the money out, right, made the $500, taken that out right when you made it, done that again repeatedly, even if you were to lose that full $2,000 in one day, you would have still had a cushion from the money that you've built up, and you've also realized those gains. So you can still have the confidence in knowing that, okay, I didn't just blow this whole portfolio. I've realized some gains. I can go back here and I can use these. And you don't have like this gamified idea of in my mind, like, okay, I need to grow this portfolio as quickly as possible just by full porting every single trade. If you can grow a portfolio from $1,000 to $10,000 with $200 days consistently, and you feel comfortable enough not needing that, like when you go from 1,000 to 5,000, that you can just keep the 5,000 in there and you won't use the full 5,000, then that's fine. But for me personally, I'm the type of dude that I wasn't able to discipline myself enough in the beginning that where if I were to get a count from 1,000 to 5,000, I wouldn't be able to discipline myself enough to say a really good opportunity comes along, I would end up wanting to put the full 5,000 in. That's kind of because I wanted to get to 50,000. Right, but if I would have just focused on those compounding rinse and repeat method, which is pretty much what I do now, is just when I pretty much on the day, if I see gain on the day, I take it out immediately. I don't really let it stay in my account. I usually keep anywhere between 10 to 20,000 in there. If I'm anything above $500 to about $1,000, whatever I make, I just take it out. I'll take it out on the day. And what people will say is taxes. Like I don't give a shit. I'd rather have to pay taxes on money than end up keeping it in an account, trying to grow it, getting your ego checked one day, because it's gonna happen. It happens to everybody. What happens in basketball, right? Steph Curry makes 5 threes. What does he do on the 6th one? He goes to half court and he tries to shoot a half quarter. Why? Because his ego got involved, right? And it's the same. It's the same.
One trade that'll humble you.
Because it's like, I don't care how good you think you are, bro. Like, I don't care who it is. And you know this, that the best traders are the best. They're trading with maximum like $100,000 in their portfolio. Even a dude with $15 million net worth, he doesn't have the $15 million in the trading account. Maybe very few. Maybe very few. I don't know if you know anybody that really, that like, let's say they're a $15 million net worth. Would you really put the full 15 million? No, you would only trade with like, and we both know you don't even need that much money to trade. You just need good trades, right? Quality over quantity, and that's a big thing for me as well recently. Is like, I used to try to go in with 100 contracts. It's like now my max size is like 10 to 15 contracts because you've mastered your entries and exits. You don't need to double down, triple down, quadruple down anymore because you didn't mess up on your entries and exits. You realized that I'm just going to stay patient, wait for my levels to come into play, wait for, you know, levels to actually show confirmation of either a bounce or a, you know, break lower, and, you know, actually have confidence in that trades, which takes a lot of time. But I mean, the whole journey that, you know, comes with it is truly amazing. I mean, your story is crazy. It's truly crazy. But I mean, that's pretty much everything. I mean, your whole story. I think one thing we didn't talk about really is SPY. Like, what really triggered you into falling in love with SPY? I know you said you kind of stopped trading singular names, but like, how did that start, and like, what really put you onto SPY?
It was, again, it's a derivative, but it's also an ETF. But it was an ETF that doesn't go bankrupt, doesn't have crazy news around it all the time, and it constantly had volume on it, and it moved every time, every single day, you know. So there wasn't a day where like it was just not gonna move. It always was gonna move up or down. So it allowed me to easily chart it and be able to trade it. And then from learning that, it allowed me to now see what was its derivatives, which was SPX, and then the futures market. So from learning the SPY and learning how it moves, it was just easy. With if I chart SPY, I could just translate, you know, the levels and the price to
anything.
SPX and
not
futures.
anything,
not anything, but SPX and futures, because that's the derivatives,
Yeah.
and I'll get the same exact play out based on what I'm looking at on the SPY. So me learning the SPY helped me transfer and learn how to trade futures and all that. So like, it was just very consistent and had a lot of volume.
What was it? Was it like a YouTube video that you watched, or like you literally were just like, okay? Because like for me personally, when I started trading, like honestly, like SPY and QQQ, like obviously everybody knows about it now, but like I was more so focused on Tesla, Apple.
I wanted to figure out what moved the markets, and people were telling me that it was ETFs and indexes that moved the markets, and I was like, well, okay, well, what are those? And they said, well, the QQQ, the Dow Jones, the SPY.
Yeah.
And so I just picked one, and the SPY, I guess, I was just more drawn to the SPY.
You never touched the Qs?
No, but I could try the Qs.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar.
Yes, just very similar. The same thing with the Dow Jones. I guess the SPY was just a lot more easier for me to handle. The Qs, a lot volatile.
Yeah, definitely.
I could try those. The Dow Jones, not as volatile since it's only holds like the top 30 stocks, but yeah, the SPY was just, it was just it. And all the popular names that I used to trade were under it, so it drew me closer to that.
But did you ever really trade Qs or not?
Not like that, like here and there, but not like as religious.
Focus on SPY.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much how I built my name. That's how.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why I wanted to ask. But like you kind of struck your like the curiosity for SPY. Like, where did that curiosity come from? Was it just from wanting to know where the markets, like where the momentum and where the overall the volume and what was moving the smaller stocks?
What was making the market move every day?
Yeah.
And what was making my individual?
And then you asked somebody and they said, this is what it was.
Yeah.
And then from there you went to YouTube, or you just literally were just watching it and charting it and learned from that. Damn,
I was just watching them.
Wow.
So I'm self-taught pretty much.
Completely self-taught.
Yeah. I had like some advice here and there. I just took the advice and pretty much just taught myself how to do it.
Wow. So I would say honestly, a lot of the things that I've learned over time is a lot of self things that you just learn by, trying and failing a few times and like learning like that's not the way to do it. You got to do it this way. Writing it down, journaling is huge as well. Just so you can have it in paper so you don't forget, and you can see like the mistakes you've made. You can see the trial and error in paper. That one was that was huge for me. But did you trade futures ever or not really?
Starting off, no, but now I pretty much trade futures full time.
Really? So because I know when I talked to Danny, he said futures, he liked them a lot. Just because of the fact that like the delta, and I wanted to ask you about, like, is it really that big of a difference, or like, or not the delta, the theta, right?
There's no theta.
So like, do you see a complete difference?
My longest position that I've held was for 27 hours.
Because there was just no theta.
No theta. And I still walk away with a profit.
But you can only trade at night.
No.
When can you trade futures?
24, 21, 6. So 21 hours, 6 days a week.
Okay. Oh damn.
So
it's a decent
for
amount of
example,
time.
so like when our market opens at 6:30, you can trade futures. But once we close at 1, futures closes, but futures opens at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, all into
And then
the
it's
night.
open all night.
All into the morning.
He said it gets dry though at night. There's no volume.
It gets dry at night.
Yeah.
It gets dry at night.
Because everyone's going to sleep. Nobody wants to keep trading. But in the morning, I bet you futures are interesting.
It gets very volatile.
And you're trading ES.
Bro, you can make a lot, bro. So think about it like this: you can trade ES or you can trade the micros.
You do that through TOS.
You do it through TOS, other brokerages. I use Tradeovate, but like think about it like this: like I was trading the micros, which is the smaller version of the ES with my chat, and we were long on it. SPY had moved like 16 cents, but we were already up over like 2 to 3 points on the futures market. And that was already well over 100 plus bucks because we had like a couple of lots open. But like just that move alone, people could have called it a day, but like that, we obviously got more than that. But like the fact that we already made that much on futures and SPY only moved 16 cents. If you were trading options on SPY and you only had a 16 cent, we got burned. Like it would have barely moved like anything. And when we were finally out of our position, we made like over like 500 on that position. SPY only moved like $1. So that's 50% on the contract, yeah, but like we were already in and out before that whole move. Like,
Why is that? Why is
the futures is just weighted more?
Say that again?
I mean, it's weighted more. So think about it. You're putting up, it's weighted more, and you're not putting up more money.
Is it essentially like buying a share of SPY? Is that what you're doing? Because it's options.
So it's not options. It's a lot. So they move in lots. Lots are different from options, but it's like the value that you get for it. So with options, for every...
Is there like a delta?
There's a delta, but for options, the delta moves sometimes. So like for every... I know with SPY, I can do this the best with SPY. For every $1 on SPY, that's 50% on your underlying option position. For every $2 move on SPY, that's 100% on your options. On futures, if you're in the money. Well, not even if you're in the money, for any underlying. But on futures, for every tick, for every 0.1, for every cent, is, for Mez is 25, no, for every cent is $1, or I think it's 25 cents or $1. And then for the bigger ones, like the ES, which is like 500 a contract or 500 a lot, for every cent move you make, I believe it was like, for every 25 cent move you make $10.
The cheapest contract is $500 though?
Yeah.
Damn.
But for
0 days till expiration or what?
No, you can hold it for as long as you want, as long as you don't blow your account. So that's the thing. Your account is your leverage.
Wait, okay, that's interesting. So
wow. Say you trade with 5,000 and you open a micro ES, costs for one lot is $50 a lot. The margin on it is about so $50 margin. So say you get 2 of those and you spend 100 down. Your stop loss, and you have a 5K account, your stop loss is $4,900. So say SPY just falls and just falls. They'll allow you to stay in that position until you're
fully liquidated.
If you don't have a stop loss, like they'll keep you in that position until your whole account is fully liquidated, and that's your stop loss. So that's the risky part of trading futures. Is if you don't have a stop loss and you get caught in a candle and you're too heavy, you can get liquidated.
Okay, that's definitely something that like obviously you.
So with options, you lose the amount that you put in. Yeah. So on a $200 or $2 option is $200. You just lose that $200.
So would you say futures are kind of the gateway? Is like once you really understand options, you take the next step and you try futures out for a little bit.
Yeah, actually, yes and no. Like if you're tired of options, if you're tired of the PDT world, if you're tired of theta, futures is easy because you can make your money so good. Like if I would say if you have the right moves, but your options contracts just aren't reflecting the moves, but you can chart out the moves and everything, I would say switch to futures.
Yeah.
Because you would have better luck in my opinion. because you can be in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out.
You wouldn't have to worry so much about getting and I think that's a big thing that changed the markets that I saw happen for me that I had to adjust to was when 0 days till expiration happened every single day, because you would almost have no choice. You would just trade the 0 days till expiration, but if you don't get a good entry, you're down 50% immediately. And that's why I can't scale into positions immediately now. Like I have to just buy 1 or 2 contracts,
and again,
start there, and then like wait and see that like, okay, is the theta even gonna hit this contract before the move happens? Because I mean, you've seen, I mean, just today the market was so choppy. It took like an hour to get one move. So it's like if you enter, even if you enter early, you're still gonna end up getting burned because like it just took so long for you to get a move. So what you're saying is essentially like, if you get your levels and you understand your stuff, maybe try futures out just to see like, okay, maybe is it just the fact that I'm not able to stay patient enough or get good enough entries on these?
Options, yeah.
And I think another thing is maybe if 0 days till expirations aren't working, try 2 days till expiration out, so you can test out to see maybe is it even the theta or do I just suck as a trader, you know? But I mean, I can only imagine like data is tough. Data's not easy.
Tough, and I think a lot of people that I made switch over to futures, they say they love it. Like it's a lot smoother for them. It's like butter. It's just easier for them to be in and out on the positions and make money really fast and call it. So like if we, like for example, I can make money tonight and not have to trade tomorrow. So that's the beauty of it.
But the volume is a little bit difficult.
The volume is difficult, but you'll still be able to catch the move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even on low volume, things can pop.
I see you post. You make like $500 on the futures on a Sunday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I won't have to trade for the money, but the thing is, I do it just because I have a Discord. But
yeah,
that's the beauty of futures, bro.
Yeah, just it's almost just like what's it called? Sharpening your knives. You're just like practicing your skills, like shooting some free throws on the weekend, just so when Monday comes around, you're not like lackadaisical. You're not, oh my God, where's the market at? You know, what's going on?
And I don't trade with as heavy size. So if I make money overnight, it allows me to trade with just less size in the morning because I've already made.
Yeah. Mondays I usually always size down too. First day of the week. What happens if you have like a big win? What's your game plan after that? Do you usually do you chill out a little bit the next day, or
if I'm big when I just call it a day that day?
No. But I'm saying what's your mindset? Because me, when I have a big day, right, the next day, I may try to get the ego involved again and try to go even bigger, right? Do you usually? Sometimes what I'll do is if I have a big day, I won't even trade the next day. I'll just take the day off and just give myself a mental reset so I can get back to reality. Oh, cool. You just
sometimes today I did that. But
yeah, no, you didn't trade today.
Normally, since I try to show up every day to live trade with them,
I'll
just if I have a big day, I'll just go with a lot less size. Just a lot less size. And I'll just let them know that hey, I'm just going with less size because we've had a big day. I don't want to press my luck too much.
Yeah, you don't want to risk anything. And then, I mean, sometimes those are the best trades too, like those trades where you just buy one contract and it goes 300-400% because you have the emotional discipline because it's one contract to hold it. You know, sometimes those are the best trades, quality over quantity. Yeah. And I think that's facts.
Oh yeah.
Bro, you're the whole story is crazy. I mean, you came, I don't even know how to, explain it. I mean, from PacSun to millionaire trader, entrepreneur, just killing it. What's the next game plan for you? Like, where do you want to take things? I know you said real estate, but what's your goal? What's your 5 to 10 year plan?
Well, I do want to get a real estate. I want to build my vacation home.
Where do you want to do that?
I still haven't figured that out yet.
Really?
I haven't.
Where are you thinking? I mean, you're in Cali, so probably not in Cali, huh?
Nah, probably somewhere in the.
Do you want a beach vibe, or you like New York vibe?
Nah, hell no. Probably somewhere in the middle of the. Probably, to be honest, maybe somewhere
Texas?
Wyoming or something like that. Colorado.
Wyoming. Oh, so you want
I want
nature.
I want nature.
Yosemite type of vibe. Boise, Idaho. I've been hearing a lot about Idaho. I heard a lot of people are investing a lot of. It's close to Wyoming, I think. I'm hearing a lot of people investing money over there, and it's beautiful too. I mean, Utah is pretty cool too.
Utah is nice.
I heard Utah's pretty cool. But it's kind of boring out there. There's really not much going on.
I'm a boring person, bro.
Yeah, I don't feel you. Yeah, all we do is work, right? There's not drive fast cars and have fun. There's really nothing crazy. And if you want to go somewhere, you just travel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You fly. You just take a flight. So you're thinking of sending it out. When are you thinking of heading out, to a different state?
I need inflation to come down. I need this interest rates to come down.
So you're thinking like once this whole
yeah, because there's no way I'm paying.
Recession is over, like 2026, 2027.
Hopefully sooner. Hopefully it can go.
Because that's only what
they're trying to
3 years away. Yeah, 3 years away.
They're trying to attack it, so hopefully sooner. But it's just no. Every time I think about buying a home, like there's just the prices.
Yeah,
just, I can't
make
justify
sense.
it. Yeah, I cannot justify it.
It's difficult. I mean,
even my boys that are in military are telling me like, they recommend me buying a home, but they said just don't even buy it right now.
yeah, are any of the guys buying real estate right now, or are they just waiting?
Not right now. They're waiting.
They're just all waiting.
I mean, one of my boys bought 2 properties, but that's just because he just likes to buy properties.
But he's probably just got so much money.
He has a lot of money.
Yeah. What does he do?
He does real estate loans, and he's a delta neutral trader. So he trades, and by staying delta neutral, this is literally what hedge funds do. Staying delta neutral is so complicated. It's so hard. It's pretty much like if you say you sold a SPY call and the delta is like 80 on there, so you have to buy 80 shares of SPY to stay neutral in that position. And so you're not losing money, but you're making money on the premium that you're selling. So SPY dumps. Yes, you'll lose money on the shares, but you're making money on the call options. But you're delta neutral, so
and you're fine holding the shares of.
Yes, and you're fine holding shares because you already know it'll pop right back up.
And it doesn't even matter because 80 shares of or 100 shares of SPY is only like, what was that, $40,000?
And
so it's just like an investment to you. You just have your
big level.
Yeah.
So,
even if it were to go down to 350 or whatever, right? SPY were to go from 420 to 350, you'd probably just want to buy some more shares.
Yeah, but that's pretty much what the dealers do every single day in the market.
Yeah,
so
buying and selling the options.
Yeah, so that's why you see SPY was trading at 410. It's because they had to start buying at 410 because that's where they had to stay delta neutral at.
Yeah.
And then once it got to 412, I think the puts that they sold there at 410 was in profit, so they had to sell there at around that 411, 412 area, and that's why we kept seeing the sell off at that area. And their shares were still in profit. And so they were offloading their shares up there too.
What I used to do is I would when I used to I had my big run on Tesla. I'd have like over 1,000 shares at points. I would sell call options against the shares because I had.
I bet you regret selling those stock shares now because you could easy sell them every single day.
I could have literally what I could have done is I could have just cashed out the options and just kept them in shares to this day. But what I did is I cashed out the shares and put it into options. But what I was saying was I put the shares, like I said, I had 1,000 of them, so I would sell an option against the shares. And you could collect the premium off that. So I kind of had a little bit of an understanding of that. And I was literally doing this, bro, like my first 2 years of trading. I was selling call options on shares.
You really trade the right way.
Yeah. And but I don't really do it anymore because it's difficult for me to just want to go and buy 100 shares of Tesla and just hold it. Especially when you got to hold Discord. That you got to have crowd friendly. The Discord can't follow that. And you buy 100 shares of Tesla, which is 20-something thousand dollars. It's difficult.
That's where you trade on for like your personal.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like that's like kind of the stuff that I was doing in the beginning. But now it's completely different. Like you said, getting on voice every single morning, trying to find good setups and crowd-friendly things that everybody can participate in and just be, good market participants at the end of the day. And I mean, that's obviously, what we're trying to do is just bring, the best value, that we can to everyone. So like kind of closing out here, what would you say, will be your number one advice to, somebody that's kind of in the beginning phases of trading that's just like trying to figure things out? Obviously there's all these corny things, but I know that you probably have something that, you wish you probably would have told yourself back in the day when you started trading or just got into the entrepreneurship game. Like in general, I always ask, every single guest that I have on, I usually ask 2 questions and we'll get to the second one after, but like what would you say is like really like that one piece of advice that you would have given to yourself back in when you were working at Little Caesar, putting every single paycheck you could towards your dreams?
Well, I mean, apart from the market isn't for everyone, I mean, the advice that I would give myself is not really one piece of advice, but rather like a slew of advice. But it'll be like stay in your own lane for starters. If you're gonna do this and you're gonna get into trading, stay in your own lane. Don't focus on what the next person is doing. Don't try and play keeping up with the Joneses because you will burn yourself out that way. It'll stress you out. And everybody starts differently. Everybody's different. That's the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice will be to stay consistent and reach out and ask for help. Like, don't be prideful. Don't have an ego. Even the best people, the top people in the world, still reach out and ask for help, but they just pay for it, you know. But ask for help if you really genuinely need help, and try and build a strategy and, you know, get help with building a working training strategy like from day one. Don't just try and follow the herd, or, you know, just follow someone. Try and build a strategy.
Yeah, like build like that network of people that you can go to.
Yes.
And I mean, it's so easy to do that
network
nowadays.
of trustworthy
Like,
people that will hold you accountable, that will help you, you know, and make sure you actually get it. Because I think that's what a lot of people regret and wish they had, especially in 2020. It was easy to make money, but a lot of people weren't really. I feel like a lot of people didn't have a solid network of friends that were saying, okay, let's lock in and actually do this the right way, you know.
But like, I mean, I think that's so valuable that you said that. In like you said, like I remember you posted on your story, like you deleted your Instagram and you said like I'm just focusing on my own growth right now and my own story. But like, did that get difficult when you had these other people like that you're, like you said, like these different people, these mentors that you're like looking out for? Did it make it difficult when you couldn't see what they were doing? Because like that motivates me when I see your story, you bought a Rolex, I look at that and I'm like you say, like you don't want to get too caught up in like, yes, like I'm not there yet, but at the same time I would get super motivated, excited, happy for you, and be like, oh my god, like hopefully one day I can get to that level. But I can also see how you would, you know, see that as
so
making you want to get too caught up in those things.
I not that I keep tabs on people, but like, yeah, I'll scroll across some stories and, you know, see some stuff in there to motivate me, but I always try and have that pretense or that notion that like, okay, I can't, you know, I can't make this, you know, be, how can I put it? It's not my life. So like everybody's in their own walk of life. So
our own timeline.
Yeah, our own timeline. So while I do see that and it does motivate me, I try and still take those social media breaks so I can still work on my own self. Because like what I found, and I think what really could help a lot of people, is like take 2 to 3 months off of social media and like you'll really see a lot of improvement in yourself. Like,
I had no choice when they deleted my Instagram. I had no choice.
But like you just like you have to just you see that you just have a lot more.
You're so right though.
Get more done and like
you're
not
so right.
Scrolling and everything.
Anxiety goes down too.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
crazy.
That I like to do that sometimes. Like I'll just take a big break from social media.
I respect you for being able to do that, especially as being in the space we are, as you know, having a face and an influence. It's not easy to just take a step back. You know what I mean? People are like, where did Jay go? You know what I mean? Like people depend on us financially at the end of the day. So it's like, where did they go? Like they, you know, it's so difficult. So people really, I mean, maybe some people realize it and they give us a break for it and they realize how much stress we do go through. You know, we do get our love, but like a lot of people don't realize it. It's difficult. You know what I mean? Running
They
this.
just see the results. They don't see the back end.
They don't, man. I mean, for you, I bet you nobody knew you worked at Little Caesars unless they're your inner circle. You know what I mean? So it's like they don't know that. The people that are bugging you out every day, I need your spy calls. They don't know what you've been through. They're like, bro, I've been waking up every single day for the past 6 years at 6:30. Give me a break. You know what I mean? There's days where I need to have a mental day for me, just like you took today, and you had, you know, some time for yourself.
Like I still had to like.
And people were probably exactly. It's so difficult, man. We relate to that, and you know, very few can, but. In any lane, there's gonna be times where you just need to take a step back, chill, relive life. You know, come back to reality, and just, you know, come back. So I don't want to get off on tangent there. Last question I want to ask you: if you weren't trading, if you were an entrepreneur, where do you think, you know, Jay would be right now? What would you be doing? What do you think where would you be at? I want to know. Any idea?
I'd be panicking for starters.
Would you be taking photos? Would you be like a photographer?
Nah, I mean, I'd still be working a job. I'd still be working a job. But I'd be like shitting bricks. Like I'd be panicking because like
you have no
knowing
idea,
what I want to do, like the mindset I have that I want to make money, but like I'm not doing it. It's just like, what is there left for me? Like, is this all that's left?
So like basically, it's like it's either this or there's nothing.
In a sense, like, because I don't see like. This has pretty much consumed me. The whole market consumed me.
I could never see myself going back. There's no way. Why would I ever go back? It's like I found my group, but like I said, if there was no market, I don't know. For me personally, I don't know. Would I be surfing all day at the beach? I don't know.
I would have to take school like extra seriously.
I guess maybe become like a lawyer or something like that. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Yeah, I always like to ask my guests this because like I've gotten such, you know, interesting responses. Most people, they don't even know. They don't even know what they would be doing if it wasn't for this, you know. So God bless that.
I'd probably be doing the architecture stuff.
That stuff, yeah.
I used to draw and everything, so I like
Yeah.
Yeah, probably do that.
Hey, well, appreciate you for coming on, my brother, man. It means the world to me. Give yourself a little outro. And I mean, all his social links will be below. Jay the Trader, Twitter, all that.
Oh yeah, my Twitter, I trade contracts. Instagram, Jay the Trader. That's about it that I.
Conservative Collectors as well.
Collectors on Discord.
Yeah, and dude, thank you so much for coming out, bro. I mean, this is a full circle moment for me. You're one of the first people that I started looking up to in the game, and I appreciate you for coming out. And you know, now we're friends.
I'm proud of you and your growth,
dude. It means the world to me, man. It really does. I mean, you're one of the few people that really gave me that guidance. You know, not many people do that, bro. And that's why when people need guidance, I try to offer that hand, because you know, you were one of the few people that did that for me. So I appreciate you, man. It means the world to me. Thank you once again, man. Give me a hug, bro. I appreciate it, man. For real, dude. It really does. That was sick, dude. That was fucking dope.